1929. 1st January 1929. I saw your holiness in a dream. You transmitted to me at all points and also gave a particular transmission which produced heat in the entire body but caused no trouble. 11th January 1929. Saw a saint in a dream. He gave me such a transmission that it ran through the entire body like electricity, and I felt as if a river of divine effulgence was diverted towards me. Next day there was intensity to such an extent that neither did I comprehend anything nor was there activity in the thought, as if there was a kind of insensibility inside. The moment I gave up work, there was a flow of intensity. 14th January 1929. I felt in the morning that there was a thought curtain in between me and my condition, and if that curtain was torn off, then I would come into oneness with and would dissolve into that particular condition. Thought is the rust of reality. The basis of words is thought alone. If thoughts are pure, the words will be pure and effective. Devotion. Lashing in the wave of the Almighty with unawareness of the fact of what I am doing and for what I am doing it. The highest type of bhakti is the unawareness of oneself and of the process. 17th January 1929. I saw my master in a dream. On seeing him, the emotion of love was so intense that I began to lose my consciousness. In the meantime, my master called me near himself and told me with pleasure that though not a king, I was a leader in my previous birth and used to practice for God realization, and that was why I had attained speedy progress in this life. Letter to the Master. Revered Guide of both worlds, may you live long. There are three main defects in this diary. Firstly, I have started telling lies, which I have always hated, but I do not know why and how I commit this, and later on I become conscious of it. The second thing which I have marked recently is ego. It stings in such a subtle manner that every acute understanding is needed to grasp it. I realize it after it has done its stinging, or when I am lost in some particular thought, then I feel its distinct entity. Due to your kindness and affection, this sensibility is developing that before the onslaught of ego, I become aware of its shadow and feel its reflection. Nevertheless, I am influenced by it to some extent. At times, I become conscious of it after coming completely under its sway. The third thing is the evil passion which is being experienced from 20th February 1929. But its condition is mostly like that of electricity let loose in space, running along with its atoms, that is, presume for a moment that a current of sensuousness is running inside the body, but it does not touch me. Ego. Ego is said to have been abused by all the present and past writers. The ego gives you strength for all the work. It points out to you that you have got the power to do a certain thing. But we identify ego with the body instead of with the soul. It is the production of God, which you cannot annihilate. You should modify it. Suppose a man has got an immense fortune and he is proud of that. He commits no sin because it does not do harm to anybody. What happens as a result of it is that the wisdom of man becomes blunt. 9 to 10 February 1929. Excess of loathing in mood. I deem myself to be insignificant. There is so much lethargy and disinterestedness in the mind that even puja or meditation is performed with indifference and in name only. It is due to this state that there is an excess of aversion and adverse effect on the mood. From within, there is an urge for work, but lethargy proves to be a hindrance. I disclose my inner feelings to you as my human obligation. It is with much effort and after much thought that I find words to express my condition and to interpret my feelings in some measure. But I cannot say whether these interpretations are correct or not. One surprising phenomena which I have noted at the time of recording my diary for your perusal is that while writing my condition becomes dull and inactive, and some inner condition comes to the fore and gives its effect. This gives birth to a feeling similar to that of a man who has not taken wine but has only smelt it. 12th February 1929. Condition intense at night. Rest as usual. 15th February 1929. Did not attend court, so felt much intensity, and in the noon felt an impact of ego. Note: whenever I do not go to court, I experience intensity, but the intensity is like a blazing spark from which heat has been extracted, yet it retains its glow and glitter. 16th February. In the morning, it occurred to me during meditation that a gnani is one who does not lament over the past and is grateful for the present. 17th February 1929. Did not go to court. Felt animation throughout the day. At the time of satsang in the evening, a pleasing sensation was felt in the head and in the forehead. 20th February 1929. When I sat for meditation in the morning, I felt that from the seat of the spirit within to the forehead, which is perhaps the seat of sensuousness, there was an extremely subtle link, like a straight line, and the two extremities of the link seemed to be molten. After a while, I felt as if the connection with the seat of the spirit was broken, and the thought remained at the seat of sensuousness alone. As long as the link between the seat of spirit and sensuousness was there, I felt to an unparalleled extent. Thoughts of sensuousness and passions, which I have hinted about in the foreword. After a while, the state ceased to exist. There only remained a tickling in the forehead during the meditation. Thought is stuck to the seat of sensuousness. Peacefulness was so intense that every part of the body seemed to be devoid of sensations. Hands and feet seemed to be lying motionless wherever they were placed. I was loath to make any movement. After meditation, I felt some heaviness in the head which lasted the whole day. 21st February 1929. In the night, a thought occurred that I should die now. There was an intense yearning in the heart for death, which had the idea illustrated in the following couplet. Death of which the world is afraid is a pleasure for me. When shall I die and attain complete tranquility? 22nd February 1929. Throughout the day, the longing for death and thought about the preferability of death over life persisted. Every thought that came to the mind was of longing for death. Going deeper into the state, with the absence of outside feelings, is Layavastha. There is a still greater state, which we can safely call death of death. A man who reaches this condition never returns after the span of life is over. It is in this condition that the man actually feels that he is dead in such a very subtle way that the idea of death hardly subsists. That means it goes very deep to the deepest core of the being, and the condition becomes part and parcel of life. 25th February 1929. Experienced evil thoughts at times and also attachment for them. In the night saw a saint in a dream. He congratulated me that I had crossed one stage and said that the next one was also shortly going to be crossed. 26th February 1929. Thoughts of sensuousness at the time of puja in the morning. 27th February. Thoughts of sensuousness from a little before the evening satsang. I was in no mood for satsang, but when I thought of missing it, I experienced a desire to sit therein. When a man on his march to freedom reaches the Trikuti or cavernous plexus, such conditions occur. The symptom of reaching there is that the abhyasi feels darkness all around, even in the sunshine. 1st March 1929. No change. In the night it occurred to me that I did not love my Guru. I was at a loss to understand how such love could be generated. 2nd March 1929. Last night, while Master was transmitting, I felt a sort of echo and a rustling sensation from the middle of the backbone going upwards. In the Sahasmar system, during our march, we come across different experiences relating to the different regions. The points of the spinal cord also begin to give energy for the approach. Letter to the Master. Reverend Guide of both the worlds, may you live long. I have to submit that I failed to find topics daily to record in the diary. The reason is that there is much preoccupation in court work which hinders the path, but God's will is to be obeyed. My general condition, as I have been writing to you from time to time, is the same, but one thing has been added. Whenever I indulge in any worldly or spiritual assignment, I feel I do not know whether the work is being done by me or by some secret being. Only a machine seems to be in action. Even if I try to assure myself that it is I who am working, the doer is not perceived. In other words, it seems as if various faculties bestowed by God for different purposes are working of their own accord. For instance, thought does contemplative work, the hand does the work of writing, etc. But I am unable to know who is working, because neither do I seem to be working nor does any other being appear to work. If I take myself to be a machine, it will perhaps explain my condition. My condition is like that of the pan of a balance. When some weight is kept on one pan, it becomes heavier, and when the weight is removed, both pans become balanced. To me, this analogy illustrates my total condition. I dreamt that a fellow brother is telling me that Reverend Master has sent a letter which contains two instructions for me. The first is that I am to consider the home as a jungle. The other slipped from my memory, and I failed to comprehend its significance. Later, I saw a saint. He transmitted to me at Aligarh railway station. Then I dreamt that I was crossing a river which had a dry passage in the middle, and the saint was standing on the other bank, which was quite high. When I reached him, he grasped my hands and pulled me up. Thereafter, Reverend Master transmitted to me. Next day, I saw Reverend Master in a dream. I saw that I was sitting on the floor at a distance of about 4 yards from him. The emotion of love was in full sway and intense to such an extent that I was totally unconscious, and some force in the head was pulling me upward. Seeing this, my master beckoned to me to sit closer to him, and then I woke up. Since a few days, my condition has become such that whenever I think of doing something, lethargy does not permit me to do it. Every work is being procrastinated. If new clothes are to be stitched, the time never comes for it. In case someone comes across, I ask him to do the work, otherwise not. Mostly, I am not conscious of my any other personal requirement excepting food. Very often, I forget my meals. If my coat is short of a button, the missing button is not replaced. There is procrastination and indifference in every work, particularly my personal work. Letter to the Master. Reverend Guide of both the worlds, may you live long. With respects, I submit that I am noting the diary below for the period 3rd to 29th March 1929. I was at Fatehgarh from 29th of March till the 1st of April. After that, the mind remained puzzled due to indisposition and I could not make notes. I have started noting again from the 11th April. 7th March 1929. The condition which formerly used to prevail is changing. At times, philosophical thoughts about nature and God resounded in the mind, but I paid no heed to them. 8th March. Same condition prevails. In the evening, felt anger over trifling things. 9th March. In the evening, you kindly transmitted at your end, and I felt lustrous thoughts roaming in my mind. After that, the condition was colorless as long as I sat. In the night, I dreamt I passed the examination. I do not know what examination. I was weeping in an overflow of love and was offering thanks to God. 11th March. Condition unchanged. At 9 in the night, thoughts regarding the creation of the universe began to resound in the mind. I did not pay much attention to them. In the course of the former thoughts, the truth regarding Sat, Raj, Tam began to be reflected before the mind's eye. I have already clarified those thoughts with you. 12th to 16th March, no change. 17th March, flames of anger flared up during meditation in the morning. During the day, the condition remained such that the world seemed to be a dream. 18th March. In the evening, when I participated in the satsang, for a fraction of a second, I was in samadhi and had a vague idea of some yellow color. Probably this idea may have been caused by constantly listening to talks about color. 19th March. In the evening, my inner condition was having its effect on the outer. The entire world was merged in one and the same state. Unconsciously, I was transmitting to the whole of Shahjahanpur. I tried to restrain the effects of transmission, but I was helpless. The effect was emanating of its own accord from some inner source. At 11 in the morning, I again felt that deserving recipients were getting transmission from me. 20 to 24th March, condition unchanged. 25th March, irritated mood. 26 to 28th March, condition unchanged. 29th March to 1st April, dreamt that I have received a letter wherein the following is written: To whom the glory justly due, to those who pride and hate subdue. Letter to the Master. Reverend Guide of both the worlds, may you live long. My condition is as follows. At times I am stationed at the highest pinnacle of eminence, while at others I fail even to see things on the back of my foot. Sometimes I find myself in a very subtle state and feel that my thought is connected with something extremely subtle which gives extreme pleasure but does not seem to be related to the senses. And sometimes evil thoughts disturb me so much that I take myself to be a man of the world who has not even known the Alpha and Omega of spirituality. 20th to 22nd April, no change. 23rd April, between 10 and 11 in the morning, it was felt that Every human being resembled the Master. This feeling is experienced from time to time. Its revolution is like a bubble. This state has not developed so far. 27th April. Felt at about 9 in the night that a current of pure spirituality was emanating from me and going out. And a thought came to my mind that similarly a current emanated from God at the time of creation of the universe, and creation came into being. Even now, that current is the same and unchanged, provided it is seen with the eyes of the heart. 28th April to 1st May, no change. 2nd May, saw Reverend Lalaji in a dream during the night, no change. 3 to 5 May, condition unchanged. 14th May, there was some liveliness in the morning after Samadhi. Felt at about 11 that the universe was replete with divine love. 15th to 17th May, no change. 18th May, saw a saint in a dream. I began to weep under the emotion of love. 19-29 May, no change. 21st May, a revered saint was present in my dream. He said that my being had entered the tejas of the Reverend Master, and I ought to be thoughtful of the tejas. I thought about how I should meditate on tejas. Thereafter, some person asked me to go home. The saint stated that I could accompany him in the car. 22nd May. In the evening, my condition remained such that I felt myself to be worthy of reverence, and it behoved others to pay homage to me. 23rd to 24th May. All through the day, the above condition prevailed, that others were to pay homage to me. 25th to 28th May, condition unchanged. 29th May, dreamt that I was going in an ikka to the residence of the Master. On the way, a fakir with a stick in hand met me. I touched the stick. He too accompanied me and derived benefit by sitting in the company of my Master. After submitting my salutations, I touched the feet of my Master, who remarked that I should not touch his feet. Beyond that, I do not recollect. 30th May to 3rd June, condition unchanged. 4th June 1929. Dreamt that I was going to Fatehgarh with some saint, and a crowd was travelling with me. It seemed that Fatehgarh from that point was of several days' journey. Passing through all the stages, I reached a place from where Fatehgarh was the next stage. Something had become visible one stage prior to the destination, but all of a sudden the saint fell ill, and so I could not move from there. I woke up after some time. 5th to 7th June, condition unchanged. 8th June. In the night, there were many experiences which I felt in respect of the revelation of my condition. On awakening in the morning, I forgot everything. On 15th August 1929, in a dream, I saw the Reverend Mahatmaji present with another saint. The saint was transmitting to me, and extreme peace prevailed. Master had asked the saint to give such a transmission to me that I may not sleep. There was another holy man there. Probably he was the person who resided with the saint at Bhogaon. He pointed out that Mahatmaji was going to own everybody, and requested him to leave at least one person for him. Thereupon Mahatmaji laughed and did not say anything. Date not remembered. I saw another dream. I am going somewhere with schoolboys accompanied by you and another saint. You have given the transmission to me. While walking, I have come to a place where passage is formed, and a vast grassless field spreads beyond. There is no water, but it gives a false idea of wetness. By seeing it, one feels much refreshed and soothed. In short, I enjoyed a nice walk in the dream. Beyond that, I do not recollect anything. On the way, we came across a river which was very wide. Just after some distance from the middle, a passage was formed which was steep below and ran rising upwards. You and I crossed that river. There was some water on the way. We thought that our feet would get wet, but water had no effect. Neither the clothes nor our feet were drenched. Then I came to my baitak where my father used to sit. There a great Muslim divine was present along with another saint and a personage. I did not recognize that personage. The great Muslim divine asked that personage to inspect my backbone. So my shirt was removed and the inspection was made. He seemed to be pleased with me. He remarked that the condition was very good, and there was some hint regarding the emotion of love which I bore for my Guru. He directed me to request the Mahatmaji Maharaj to pay special attention and to give special instruction to my humble self. I intimated Reverend Lalaji Sahib accordingly. He also asked me to keep him informed regarding my condition. What he meant to at the time seemed to me as if my humble self had been ordered by him to look towards him also. 1st November 1929. At noon, the condition became intense. Dreamt in the night that I was having a Tonga ride in Lucknow. I lost my way. Mahatmaji came and guided me. Then I came on the right path. There was a koti there, and there were trees of different species. I paid no heed to them. Moving from there, I reached a room somewhere. The door of the room was closed from outside, and there was no way visible. Mahatmaji Maharaj opened the door and took me out. And I felt as if I had been given an exile in the forest for 12 years, and that was why the calamity had befallen me. There the picture of the Pandavas' exile appeared before my eyes, and I found that I was one of the Pandavas. Arjuna is in fetters and chains. Bhima is sitting near the kitchen. Seeing the plight of Arjuna, I became much displeased because I considered myself to be one of the Pandavas. I do not recollect whether I took myself to be Bhima or Nakula or one of the other brothers. I desired to punish the captors of Arjuna, but I came to know through Bhima that only 5 minutes remained for the exile period of 12 years to end. So I restrained myself. The limit of 12 years period expired and I woke up. During the dream in my thoughts and those of the Pandavas, there was only this difference that the Pandavas considered Lord Krishna as their master, while I took Guru Maharaj as my master. 2nd November 1929. Condition unchanged. During the night, the state of I am the master came into being. 3rd November. Condition became intense at the time of noon, and it was felt that some thought current was descending from head to feet, and unearth was in sway, and the sound vibrations were being produced, resounding inside the body. Dreamt at night that I was sitting across a bridge with 2 brothers and a fakir. The fakir wanted to give transmission to me, but one of the brothers told him that I was initiated and he could not give transmission to me. The fakir did not care and gave transmission to me, but it was of no avail. Then one of the brothers began to transmit to me, but the other brother absorbed all of the transmission. The transmitting brother informed me that he very much wanted to be attentive to me, but other people restrained him from doing so. For example, transmission had been given to me but had been absorbed by the other. Anhat, music of the spheres. There is a sound ever present eternally which is not heard except by those who by divine grace have developed inner perception. This is Anat Ajapa. We meditate on the heart. During the meditation, we naturally go deeper and deeper till we come across the natural vibrations which are sounded Om. It is a clue that one has started touching the upper, which ultimately reveals its own character. When Ajapa is felt in the heart, it begins to travel all over, giving it stress at the plexus, till it is felt throughout the entire being. Anahat really begins when one arrives on his march at the Trikuti or the cavernous plexus, if charging there is in full sway. In any case, if Anahat is not started while an Abhyasi has his reach in the cavernous plexus, then it is the duty of the master to start it at that point. This is the time mature for it. It can be taken even earlier, but master is only authority to judge it. 4th November, condition unchanged. 5th November, at 10 am, I was going to the court on an Ekka. On the way, a powerful thought of I am the Guru came into being, and I felt that I was the master of the whole universe, and that the entire world was running to my orders. I have described this condition in my letter which you have perused. 6th November, the thought of I am the Guru in sway. 10th November, no change. 11th November, the inner condition came to the fore. This happened at 11 in the morning. 12th November, felt somewhat uneasy at 10 am, longed to sit in some forest and be freed from the household worries which created heat in the mind. In the evening, felt much anger and had its effect for a long time. 13th November, condition of self-forgetfulness unchanged. It became more intense in the afternoon. 14th to 16th November, no change felt, liveliness at noon. 20th November, at about 10 am, it was felt that all the souls were from Guruji Maharaj. The state lasted for a short time. There was intensity at noon. The above mentioned condition comes to the fore frequently but has not attained permanency. 21st to 23rd November, condition unchanged, intensity increased. 24th November, much intensity prevailed during the day, and it was felt as if my faculties were awakened and directly related to the Par Brahmanda or macrocosm. 25th November, in the morning I went to the house of a physician to get medicine. I went by a shortcut which passed through a graveyard. I was about to reach the physician's house when a spiritual state commenced in which the effulgence of Guruji Maharaj was pervading all over, and the condition of this effulgence was very pleasant. This thought was coming into being that it was I who made the trees grow and rendered them fruit-bearing and bestowed fertility to the earth and so on. I tried to preserve this phenomenon, but the liveliness lasted for about 2 hours and then began to diminish. However, the state was more in evidence in the jungle but comparatively less in inhabited places. 26th November, condition unchanged. 27th November, saw Guruji Maharaj and another saint in a dream. Forgot the dream, but remember this much, that I derived benefit. 28th November, at night at the time of going to sleep, I felt that there is a thought line with the saints of the past and they are attentive towards me. Their eyes are focused on me. In the night I dreamt that there is a garden with a temple in it, and near the temple there is a terrace. Lord Krishna is standing on the terrace. On seeing me, Lord Krishna came down the terrace and embraced me. I became overwhelmed with the love of Guruji Maharaj and began to weep in his memory. One surprising thing which I marked was that while embracing me, Lord Krishna merged with my body, and on the merger, I felt that my body was subtle from head to foot. I was conscious of the subtle body, just as a wrestler and a worshipper of physics experiences sturdiness in the body. Even during sleep, I felt myself to be wide awake after this dream. This state of feeling the body to be subtle lasted the whole night and was felt on awakening also. 29th November. The condition unchanged. At 7 in the evening, I felt that the eyes of the saints of the past are focused on me. I experienced this phenomena when I went into meditation. 30th November 1929. I was going to the court at 10:30 am, felt at the time that I am the master of the universe. This divine condition prevails all the time these days. On the lightest activity in the network of thought, the process of feeling commences. Letter to the Master. Guide of mine in both the worlds, may God bless you. After salutation, it is submitted that I consider it necessary to inform you of conditions that have prevailed over me in the near past or are prevailing at present. On 1st November 1929, at about 8 in the night, an inner condition expanded, and by means of that phenomenon, a picture of my own condition came before my eyes. That condition pervaded the whole body from head to foot. Thought had merged in oneness with that condition. So to say, it had drowned in it. At that condition was producing the idea of I am the Guru from head to foot. That is to say, everything having been dissolved in that condition had become real and was proclaiming it by the slogan I am Guru. Silently but enthusiastically. Courage was boundless. The feeling was present that I could do everything, and I considered myself to be master of everything. For a while, I remained absorbed in this thought. But having limitless courage and the coming of such thought, I took to be ego. So, coming out of the condition in which I was deep down, I remained diverted towards lighter thoughts so that the thoughts of possession and omnipresence which I had taken to be ego might not be experienced. Remained diverted to this phenomenon for some time. Later on, I retired for the night after taking my meals. At about 10 in the night, I began to recite a bhajan. Mine is God and none else. Again that phenomena came into being. The above mentioned condition is frequently experienced during daytime. Self-forgetfulness is experienced. The condition of forgetfulness and moderation mostly remains and makes me feel this solution. On 8th November 1929, I felt that events that are happening in town seem to be waving within me. On thinking of somebody or on coming across somebody, his character and all the troubles and comforts of his future life are mirrored before the eyes. In case the thought grows stronger, that which shall happen to them in the next birth begins to become evident. I do not pay heed to this condition. Events happening in the town and the atmosphere prevailing over the town are constantly producing waves. Pain is frequently caused and at times acts like a stone in silent waters. These conditions often come intensely, and I have been duly informing Your Holiness because, to my imperfect thinking, that state was not to my liking and seemed to be a trap. The position is in keeping with the line. Enlightenment of intellect, thou hast become my trouble. At this time, events which are happening and events which are forming waves, that is, which have not yet happened, are both experienced. Some power particularly restrains my thought from being inclined towards such events and does not help in reading the present and future events that are taking place in the town. This power puts the thought into fetters and chains, but even then the thought runs to them to some extent, and waves remain as they are. The other significant thing which is to be brought to the notice of your holiness is as follows. This will reveal my moral condition to you. I am so much harassed in the house that at times I feel like running away from the home, while at others I have a mind to cause injury to myself, though I am helpless. As soon as I reach home, either one or the other method is adopted, that either I feel angry for nothing or I am forced to resort to indecency. This is why I inculcated the habit of anger. Due to this, I have to undergo many losses. As for instance, the breaking of some article, anger is mostly confined to the home only. In seclusion, when God is particularly benign, I find solace. Otherwise, some such thing is presented, the acceptance of which is either against reason or wish, and not doing of which is advisable. Such things occur mostly when I return from the court, or am tired after hard labor. Someone has said, the thorns of the homeland are better than the roses and raihan. Anger flares up very quickly and for trifling matters, but when it subsides, there is no animosity or ill will. Rather, I feel inclined to touch his feet. Because of having become habituated to anger at home, some excuse or the other is sought for becoming angry. A few months back, this state had diminished to a large extent. Now it has increased a lot, and temper has often become peevish. Many spiritual problems and many insoluble propositions present themselves of their own accord, but when there is purity in great measure, they are solved. The observations which I have been hearing from time to time from our saints help like axioms of Euclid in solving the knots and act as lamps on the wayside. But such things do not give me any pleasure, as I am not in the least inclined towards them. My only concern is with the Master. May God bestow eternal grace on you. After due salutations, I have to submit that before submitting my diary for your perusal, I am noting down some conditions in concise form. Thoughts of masterhood and omnipotence are always present. For instance, the thought that it is because of me that there is growth in trees. I give life to animate objects, and all the activity in the world is a manifestation of my power. I am the master of the entire universe. The warmth in the sun is from me. It is my law of nature which is working in the world, and so on. These conditions, as described by Lord Krishna in the Gita, are being experienced by me and seem to be eternal. Love is becoming worldwide. The curtain of separateness has disappeared. The defects and imperfections of others do not come into view. I pray every moment voluntarily for the well-being and good of man, and whatever I get, I share with all. When all find someone in trouble or see somebody entrapped in any particular thought of worldliness or devilry, my hands go up in prayer as if it has become my second nature. I feel one and the same condition inside and outside. That is to say, the thought running in mind towards spirituality is felt to be in such a condition of subtlety that it cannot be likened even to the subtlest possible thing. In it there is neither any color nor shape, nor any fervor, and it is always in the same condition. The same condition is felt to be pervading the whole world. but in a very subtle manner. I am always respectful with a particular condition. 1st December 1929. Left for Kanpur, felt liveliness during the journey. 2nd December. Stay at Kanpur since afternoon, felt intense liveliness. 3 to 5 December. Condition unchanged. 6th December. Since morning it was experienced that every atom had a godly condition and felt affection for every atom. Meditating upward on the head, it was experienced that an everlasting effulgence was descending over the head and that a saint was sitting there engaged in remembrance of God. 7th December. The above condition unchanged. In the night, saw in a dream that my master was sitting on the upper side of the cot and I was sitting at the nether side. He told me that he was much pleased with me, for I had worked very hard and with my hard work had merged in him. He put his hand on that part of my face where the beard grows and remarked that such and such parts of my face resembled his, and he bestowed a boon upon me. 8th December. At about 10 in the morning, it was felt that my thought was going to such a place which had pitch darkness. The color of the darkness would be likened to that time of the dawn when the face of man is not visible. The same day I went to village Barnai. There at noon I felt that a subtle current was emanating from a body which was giving life and freshening up the whole world. 9th December 1929. At 8 in the morning, there was much detachment in me, and I yearned to go to Lakshman Jhula at Rishikesh in the hills. The imaginary picture had form of master's play with it. I was like an insane, taking food with him and doing things which children usually do. The same day at about 11:30 in the morning, I felt a desire to run away from the court to a field somewhere where there was absolute solitude. No such place was nearby, so I was desirous to sit in remembrance of God in some spacious field at Lodipur, a village across the railway bridge. But it seemed that the reins were in the hands of somebody else who did not permit me to go. In the evening, every person seemed to have the form of the master. His being was manifest in animate objects, minerals and vegetations, and this condition became very intense in the evening at 6 p.m. 13th December. Condition remained unpleasant. 14th December. Condition remained unpleasant till 11 o'clock. It transpired that it was a divine blissful condition. After 1 o'clock, bliss was experienced, but it was disturbed in the record room. After that, the condition was felt to be easy, so much so that the next day hollowness increased. 15th to 17th December. Condition was pleasant and subtlety increased. 19th to 23 December. No special change in the condition. 24 to 31 December 1929. Stayed in a village where I could not write the diary. I repeat that I feel that I am directly connected with the world above. Formerly I used to see God. Now God sees me. Eyes of the saints of the past are directly focused on me, and I often see the divine glow of their eyes. Reply to my letter from the Reverend Mahatmaji Maharaj. My dear brother, with blessings for your development, I have to say that what you have described in respect of your progress and stages of development, may God make auspicious. They are not manifestation of ego, rather they are encouraging. You should be thankful for them. They will then disappear. If they are attributed to God, then there is no conceit. Since they are from God, one has no hand in it. This boon is not got by the might of arm, if it is not bestowed by God the bountiful. Condition of conditionlessness is good, and this is lasting. It is good to be tormented. Home is the school for tolerance and meekness. According to one way of thinking, patience in such things is considered to be penance and is superior to other kinds of penances. So, instead of sorrow and resentment, one should resort to ghairat. Repentance is that emotion when one being abused and chided by others feels as if one himself is at fault, and then one has to resort to patience. For others, jungles and seclusion and solitude are the ways of achieving patience, endurance, and freedom from the turmoils of the world, while for us, the scoldings, taunts, and scoffs of the family members, friends, and worldly persons are true penance. God willing, submissiveness and surrender also shall follow. Reply to my letter from Reverend Mahatmaji Maharaj. Dear brother, blessings. Got your letter and it gave pleasure to my heart. May God bestow His blessings and favors on you and take you to high stages. At one time, I was anxious that none of my companions should so develop that even if they are not worthy to be the dust of the feet of the saints of the past, they at least might not be a stigma to my humble self. Thank God, due to the blessings of great saints, such symptoms are in evidence now, which show that they enjoy the divine blessings, and it is very probable that you too may be one of them. All this is the gift of saints, but this boon is not because of the might of the arm, and cannot be obtained unless and until it is bestowed by God, the bountiful. The love, companionship, and affection of your preceptor is to be considered enough. By God, he is a man of love. Love alone is a dynamic thing. May God keep you and others under the shadow of His benignity. I have great hopes from dear Rameshwar Prasad. He too is a man of love. May the all-pervading bountifulness of God provide him with patronage and affection of the great saints, so that his determination and object may assume permanent shape. Brother, disciples are numerous and guides are rare. These days even disciples are to be found very sparingly. This is a boon of the saints of the order that distinction cannot be made between the disciples and our associates. Otherwise, it is very difficult to be a disciple. Whenever the associates get the effect of companionship or feel the breeze of gaze, they for a while are awakened and again slip away when the fire becomes dim and stop attending the satsang. Their personal attachment and emotion is in name only, but even this is enough that whenever a wave comes, they begin to wave. They are men who keep the feet of their determination firm even without any goading. What is grievance against so and so? They are the companions of opium, charas and ganja. If these are used, they are present. Whose friends are they? They only smoke and slip away. When blessings of God descend, they also have a fit and then revert to their original condition. What is there to complain about? Pandit so and so. I feel perhaps in one whole year the average shall be 2 months when he flares up. Even then there is sometimes a craze for newspapers and sometimes for drama. The crux of the matter is that he alone is successful whom he attracts. You and I beat hands and feet for nothing. When the proper time comes, all these people will come to the right path by and by. Emotions and sanskars of everybody are different, and accordingly there is a separate time for each one. I intended to go to Allahabad, but I have become old. There is much cold and so courage fails. Hazards of a trainer being loaded in a goods train was not considered proper. So I gave up the idea for the time being. Can't say what the friends there, who awaited me very anxiously and who had taken entire responsibility for all my comforts, will think. Now I intend to go to Couch whenever it is ordained by him and my livelihood takes me there. Shall go to Allahabad in February. Recently, doctors in Europe have discovered that if the face has a sufficient growth of hair, which is called beard, there is a natural support to combat dental diseases and troubles are lessened. So, if you feel inclined to have the courage to put up with the taunts and scoffs of people, then let the hair grow. Love to children. Your well-wisher Ramchandra from Fatehgarh.